Hello there, Internet friends. This is Danielle Pierce, the creator of Real Estate Profit Lab and your National Property Preservation Mastery expert. As always, come into the room, say hi, let me know where you're watching from. If you're brand new to the channel, welcome. If you're a returning subscriber, welcome back. Please be sure to like, subscribe, and share the video on whatever platform you happen to be watching us from. Definitely appreciate your help with beating these algorithms. All right. So this series is going to be all about property preservation during the pandemic. We'll be highlighting some very recent student success stories from folks who are both starting and scaling their business during the pandemic. Got a student who has a new baby, new business, and still managed to hit $6,600 in revenue just a few days ago. Other students with full-time jobs, multiple businesses, didn't get started until January of 2021 and still just crossed the $6,000 mark in revenue in the last 30 days. Folks who are juggling their business and homeschooling their children, folks who registered 2 years ago that are just now pulling the trigger and recently got close to getting their first four-figure month. So many of you have asked for discount codes. We are releasing a total of 6 discount codes during this campaign. Each code is valued between $200 to $500 off of the full program, which is $2,497. To get those codes, you do need to be on our email list. If you're not on the list, head to propertypreservationmastery.com ASAP so that you can get those codes as they are released to our 50,000 plus email subscribers. Going to be doing a live stream on Wednesday, June 16th at 7 o'clock Central Standard Time. Again, those details are going out via email, and that is where I'll be announcing the value of each discount code. And last thing, you guys, all the codes expire at midnight Central Standard Time on June 16th. Now, these videos are going to stay up because I need y'all to get this work and hear from these people as far as how they're able to, do the incredible things that they've been doing. But the discounts will not be valid beyond June 16th. Might put something together for y'all that are late to the party, but those details will be coming out later. All right, so buckle up and get ready. Let's hear from the students themselves. Today, I'll be talking to Tasha Wesley of Wesley's Property Preservation out of the DFW area. Tasha's going to be telling you guys how she was able to basically get started in January of this year, so not even 6 months ago, and still do over $6,000 in revenue last month. So going to be bringing on Tasha in just a few seconds. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll be right back. Hey, look, do you prefer Latasha or Tasha?
Tasha.
Okay. I saw that. Okay, so no Latasha ever. All right. Thank you so much for agreeing to do this video, Tasha. I appreciate it. I know you're obviously working. You have on your company uniform today. So I know that means you must have a lot of work to do. So everybody, I'm going to let you do most of the talking. I have a few questions, of course, that I'm going to be asking, but people always want to hear from people who are working in the field and working in the industry. So it's Tasha Wesley. Okay. What's the name of your company?
Wesley's Property Preservation.
Yes, ma'am. And you are based out of what city and state?
Dallas, Texas.
Dallas, Texas. Okay. All right, Tasha. So in your own, well, how long have you been running the company? Let's start there.
Well, I bought your program back in June of last year.
Okay.
But I didn't start until January of 2021.
Oh, I didn't know that. So you waited, what, 6 months?
Followed the program, had everything down to the T, but I didn't start until January. I work in a hospital, so we are in an unprecedented time right now. So my staff, and I had to low sense my staff. It was just a lot in the medical field. So I'm a manager where I work. Okay. And it was just a lot going on at that time with me trying to start my own business, run my department. And I'm also a loan signing agent. So I have a lot going on.
Do you have kids too?
Yes, I have two. I have two and my husband has 4. So together we have 6. Yes.
A husband, 6 kids, multiple businesses. Okay. All right, go ahead.
So I had a lot going on. And then, like I say, last year was it was unbelievable. It was something none of us has ever experienced. So it was like trial and error and just trying to maintain and just get through day by day.
Yeah. So, okay. So obviously you're still working, right? At the hospital too? Okay. So have things slowed down? I'm talking about the pandemic now. Have things slowed down in terms of the number of patients that you're seeing come in and out?
Definitely, because of vaccinations, of course. And, a lot of people, when they look at the vaccination, they don't look at the pros and cons, or they look at more cons than pros. So the numbers has decreased tremendously because, we're required to get vaccinated, and we haven't seen as many patients.
Really? Okay.
Hmm.
Okay. So, and this is just a sidebar because,
Okay.
I try to keep the conversations on point, but I mean, people, this is all relevant. So, in
Hmm.
terms of the vaccination, where do you hear a lot of like different theories from coming in from people like into the where you work?
Definitely. We only know what we've been shown on TV. But if you really don't work in the medical industry or the medical field, you really don't know what's going on. And I took it, of course, I took Moderna, and I took it because, like I tell, patients and my friends and family, you know what this virus can do to you.
Yeah.
So why not take the vaccination? It's a 50-50 chance either way.
Yeah.
And if you have underlying issues or you have a low immune system, it's imperative that you get it, because you never know what can happen to your body once you catch
Okay. All right. Well, that was a PSA from Tasha Wesley, who works in the
it.
medical field. So thank
Hmm.
you for that. All right. So you basically have launched your business still really during the pandemic, right? Like you
Hmm.
registered a while back, you launched a business, in addition to your other business that you have going. What were your initial expectations in terms of like what did you think it was going to be like? And then what did you find it was actually like when you started?
I thought it was just gonna be super easy. This is a breeze. Oh, Danielle makes it look up like a piece of cake. That's what I thought it was gonna be.
Really?
However, yeah, when you've been like my job, for instance, I work in the medical field, so I'm able to speak to it. I'm able to talk about it in my sleep,
Yeah.
sleepwalk, however, because I've been doing it for 17 years.
Yeah.
So that's how you make it seem like it's, and I'm not saying it's not once you get, a hang of it.
Yeah.
So when I got into it, I'm like, okay, this should be a nice breeze. It's a amazing field to get into. However, you need to know your stuff.
Okay. Did you work with family and friends starting off?
Yes, and I still do.
You still do? Okay. So how has
Mhm.
it been a good experience for you?
Yeah, it has. My husband, I made him half share owner of the company because he's like the muscle. He shows me a lot of things. He does a lot of the work. He works alongside with the contractors. He does a lot of the quality walks for me and things like that. So that's my partner.
Uh,
And then my son does majority of the grass cuts
okay.
because I'm teaching him about the business and how to get his general contractor license and things like that.
Okay. How old is your son?
He's 18 now. He'll be 18. Actually, he's a senior this year, so he'll be 18 in October.
That is so cool. So you have your husband on board and your son on board. Now, was your husband
Mhm.
initially on board, or was he like, Tasha, what we doing here?
Like, shut up, girl. What you talking about? Like, you doing too much, and like I said, I'm a manager, so it requires a lot of my time. So he like, whatever, I'm not thinking about you. You already do loan signing. Like, you always trying to do something. That's what he said. Like, you be doing too much. That's what he said to me.
Okay, but obviously you stuck with it, right?
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
you were able to bring him on board, and he's able to do he's able to work with the contractors and basically like help train them in the field.
Yes, help train them. He does. If I can't do it, he does my quality walks for me,
Yeah.
and he just makes sure everything is accurate. He's 8 years older, so he's more stable. He likes security. He's a numbers man, so he had to see numbers and he had to see things happening first. Like, he heard me, but until I actually started putting it in action, that's when he was like, okay, let's see what this is about.
I like that. So he's an
Mhm.
evidence-based personality. That's what I am.
Definitely, definitely. He got to see it. You can't come tell him something and be like, "Oh, we're about to do this." He's like, "No, we're not."
Yeah, I think that that's good that people know that, sometimes because a lot of women will reach out and be like, oh my gosh, can you talk to my husband or my boyfriend? I was like, well, I don't really talk to husbands and boyfriends.
Hmm.
But I found that if you're consistent and if you believe, then people tend to, get on board. Whereas if you're just, constantly doing different things like your husband kind of accused you of, but you were putting action behind it. So if you're constantly doing
Hmm.
different things and then you're not taking action, then it's hard to get people to buy into whatever it is that you're doing because they're like, well, you were just doing this something else 3 weeks ago. So,
Hmm.
so how has your experience been with contractors, Tasha?
Terrible.
Terrible. Okay.
Terrible. Yes. I do have one good contractor. He has a day job. So, but he helps out all the time. He's reliable. What I learned about these contractors is they say one thing, but they can't do what they say they can do. I posted some ads on Indeed, Craigslist. I had interviews and everything, but once it was time to do the work, they couldn't produce. And I'm a hands-on person. So a lot of these contractors have been in the field before. And so they know the game. So I don't think that they thought that I was one to come back and check their work and different things like that. And so, you know, now what me and my husband we have like a 2-step process as far as the interviewing. Like I will interview him and then he will go behind me and interview him because they tell me one thing, but tell my husband something else.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Don't let them know that that's your husband.
I just tell him you're doing, you're going to do a 2-part interview. An interview with me, and then you're going to interview with my partner. And nope.
Nice. So do you remember any funny stories that have come out of that, or just dealing with contractors in general, with how they say, "Oh, I could do everything. I've been in the business for 35 years. I could fix it. I could build houses."
Yes. So one guy, I remember I interviewed, he was telling me how he was good, how he's been doing bidding. He just finished doing all these bidding and things like that. So I'm like, okay. So then when I gave my husband his information to call him, my husband was telling him like, what we've been doing a lot of grass cuts. Because we're in a pandemic, everything is not open back up. And this was like maybe January, February. And then the guy was saying, "Oh, I don't do grass cuts. I'm beyond that. I don't do that anymore. I did that when I first started out." And so my husband was like, "Well, that's part of the job. Grass cuts is part of the job. That's part of the business." And he sent my husband a F you. He told my husband F you.
Well, there's that.
There's that. Yeah. So these contractors, they're like I say, they make these amazing resumes so they can do all this. And when it comes down to it, they don't produce. They just want to make the money, but they don't want to work.
Yeah. And what I found too, usually the faster they ask you for money, the less of you can pretty much count on that they've done a bad job, because they're trying to hurry and get you to pay them before you find out that they didn't do the work properly. So whenever I start getting those requests, I'm just like, let me go see what's going on, because I already know you probably didn't finish it. They want to get the money and just run off with it. So yeah,
definitely.
That's kind of unfortunate. I remember I think this was in 2019 or 2020. I was looking for somebody to do winterizations, and what the winterization is, turn off the water, drain all the water out of the pipes, blah, blah, blah. But he thought when I said it, he said he could do it. And then he started talking about, he had confused it with weatherization. So he started talking about like putting plastic on the windows and strips and stuff. I was like, I'm not talking about that. So I'm like, a winterization is this, X, Y, Z. And he read my text and he was just like, what did he say? He was like, he didn't say F you. I think he said, shut the F up.
That's amazing. Like, okay. You asked me for a job.
Yeah, I had a guy hang up on me. That was about a couple months ago. I posted that video in one of the groups where he had called and texted. And when I called him and I asked him, hey, are you still interested in XYZ? He just hung up the phone. I was like, oh, well, I guess that means you're not interested anymore.
Right.
All right. So in terms of what has been your biggest win so far, in terms of like, if you don't feel comfortable sharing revenue numbers, you could do ranges, or like, what's been your biggest like single project or biggest month so far?
My biggest month had to be like last month, and it was about 6,500.
Oh, that must be the magic number. What is with the 6?
I don't know. Yeah. So what I've learned with doing this, and I haven't even been doing it for a while, you have to know your worth in this field, because these mortgage field companies will, play you like you don't know. And that's the thing. So, when they send me work orders, I go over the work order, and if I'm not comfortable with the pricing, I'll send them an email back, say, hey, I can do it. However, I'm not doing it for this price. So we took down a fence. They asked us to go take down a fence and haul it away. And I think they wanted to pay us like $20 per cubic yard or something like that. Okay. So for that, you're trying to insult my intelligence. So I'm gonna charge you $75 per cubic yard. Yeah. You can take it or leave it, And so he said, I'll get back with you. So he got back with me. He said he'll do it. And then we had to remove like 40 cubic yards of fence. And I charged him $75 per cubic yard. Yeah. I feel like this.
Yeah.
And it took us maybe an hour, if that, to take down the fence and call it off.
Yeah.
But the point is, they want good quality work, but they don't want to pay good quality. Some
Yeah.
of them, shall
That's
I
true
say?
for some. I would say not all of them, but definitely a lot of
But
them.
yeah, definitely a lot of them. They want good quality work. They want things done right now. So, when I'm doing work orders and things, I keep all that in mind. I can do it, but it's going to cost you, and
Yeah.
you're going to pay me.
So is that something that is that your natural personality? Is it something you picked up from like something in a course or something in one of the groups or like a video or like, or you just, or did your, like what contributed to you just being able to say, no, I'm not doing it for this price. However, I can do it for this price. Like, how did you get to that point?
I feel like, my personal opinion, that they take advantage of new companies.
Yeah.
Because when I first started doing it, you said something in your course about busy work. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I feel like they give you all this work to keep you busy, but it's not adding up.
Yep.
So when I started signing on with different companies and looking at different price sheets and going on NFR and looking at their price sheet, I'm like, this not adding up.
Yep.
It's not adding up what you're trying to pay me. It's not adding up what you're asking me to do and the quality of work you want done, the pictures you want taken.
Mhm.
But then when I look at how much you're trying to pay me, it doesn't add up.
Yep.
So, that's when I say, hey, I have the equipment, I have the supplies, I have the contractors, but what you're not going to do is pay me minimum wage. I can go to McDonald's and make more than some of these companies try to pay me.
I know that's right. You said
I'm
what
not,
you're not gonna do.
what you not, I'm not. And then, I think it's all about, how you present yourself as a professional company as well.
Yeah.
I think that's important. So I picked up real quick that you're not going to make me work and do all this stuff, and then you don't want to pay me,
Yeah.
because I'm looking at the price sheets from NFR and on HUD and stuff like that. So I know what you guys are getting paid,
Yeah.
and then you want to pay me,
Yeah.
like, for inspection. Some company wanted me to do all these inspections. You want to pay me $9.
Yep. Yep.
So that's the thing when you're doing all that. And this is hard work. It's not easy.
Yeah.
It's not easy, especially me and my husband do a lot of the work. When we first started, we did a lot of work ourselves,
Yeah.
because I'm a firm believer that I need to know my business. I need to be able to speak to my business,
Yep.
So we did a lot of the work ourselves. So it's hard work and it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
And you don't want to pay me.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's all really solid advice. I think it's all accurate. Uh I'm trying to Jai, I'm still doing the video. Serena, can you close the door? Okay. I told them I was doing the video, but yeah, we'll see.
Okay.
Close the door, sweetie. Thank you. Um, but yes, but one thing I do want to point out too. So a lot of people will complain about the pricing in the companies and things like that. But on the flip side, you made a valid point. You said you have to show up as a professional company. So if you have to show and demonstrate that you can do solid work, that you can be on time, that you can take the right photos, that you are willing to meet their requirements if they meet yours. It's kind of a two-way street. What I find with not most people, but a lot of folks is that they'll complain about pricing, but then they do like they don't take the right photos, they don't show up on time, they don't complete the work on time, and they make it to where the companies like have to chase them down to get the work. But if you can show yourself, like every vendor coordinator is looking for that company that can do the work when they say they can do it the right way, where they don't have to keep emailing you and calling you. Because I hate emails and calls. So I don't never want anybody calling me. So if you can do that, then the sky's the limit. So that's a good point that you made about that. I like that. So 6,500 last month. That is fantastic. And also, do you think that does your husband, is he still working full time too? Or is he doing this 100%?
He does the same thing I do. So he works full time too.
How y'all? Okay, so both of you guys work in the medical industry. Both have full-time jobs. But he's been doing it for as long as you have, or for a while? Okay. So do you think that having that level of stability, that's been a help to you then, right? Because now you're able to just say, if it's not worth my time, I'm not going to do it, and we still going to be
Right.
okay. Yeah.
And that's exactly how I look at it. Like I say, when I get work orders, I don't accept everything I get. When I first started to get my feet wet, to learn how to do work orders, to learn how to submit bids, I was accepting everything. Now I will press that decline button in 1 second and be like, I'm not doing this. I will hit that decline button. I will go and ask them and hit decline and give them a whole reason why I'm not doing this. Nope.
You can't make popcorn. I'm doing a video. You gotta wait. I'm almost done. Yeah. All right. Yeah. I like that. That's good that you guys are able, because everybody always will ask about how does this work when you have a full-time job? How does this work if, can I still work my job and start the business? I'm like, well, it depends on how flexible your job is, and it depends on your personality too, because you're still
Mm-hmm.
basically going to be managing two full-time things, right? At the end of the day,
Mm-hmm.
that's what it comes down to. So if you're up for
Mm-hmm.
that, it'll work. And if you're not up for it, then, probably best to wait until you get a more flexible position or a different job.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So the 18-year-old is involved. And how does he feel about it? Does he like
He's
complain about the—
excited. No, he's excited because my son, these millennials is different than us. They think college is not for them. They don't want to go back to school, blah, 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 blah. Okay, I agree. College is not for everyone. However, what's your plan? you
Yeah.
know. So he want to work with his mom. Okay, if you want to work with me, this is what you got to do. Because I will fire you. I don't care if you are my son. I will fire you. I told him that I will fire you.
You told him you would fire him right off the
I
bat?
told my husband that too. I will fire you. Definitely, I will fire you, both of y'all. So don't think because I'm your wife and I'm your mother that you're gonna no, you're gonna work like this is a real job because it is. It's my business, and you're gonna do it right.
I
I'm
feel like
sure.
I need to add this video clip into the course, because that's my personal philosophy. But because a lot of
Mhm.
people will lose their contracts messing with family and friends because they don't want to
Definitely.
speak their mind, or just the family and friends treats them like, this is just kind of something they can do when they get around to it, as opposed to this is what it needs to be
Mm-mm,
done, this is how it should be done. But you were already
mm-mm.
clear that you would fire anybody.
I will fire you quickly, okay? And won't think twice about it because see what it is. This is my business, and when we're out doing work, we have so many people come to us and ask us for a business card. So
Yeah,
I'm basically branding myself as I'm working too.
yeah,
So like I tell my son, when because he does a lot of grass cuts, when you cut the grass, I want you to cut it how you cut our yard. I want you to make it look pretty, make it neat, make
yeah,
them edges right. I
yeah.
will fire you and won't care nothing about it. I promise you.
I swear it's the funniest thing I've heard today.
I tell him all the time. He be like, "Mom," and then my husband be like, "Really? I'm dead serious, and still gonna love you, but I'm gonna fire you."
Oh, and that brings up a good point. So when you're doing the work, obviously you're able to get basically create another revenue stream from homeowners, probably investors, and probably real estate brokers as well, right? So how has that been
Mhm.
working out for you?
It's been working good. I have a lot of connections because, like I said, I'm a loan signing agent as well.
Yep.
So I talk to a lot of realtors. I got relationships with a lot of mortgage and banks. So that's how I'm able to brand myself and kind of market myself because I'm getting those relationships,
Yeah.
with different real estate agents.
Yep. And I see you have on your company. Where'd you get your company shirts and like personally designed from again, in case anybody else wants to know?
From queensbro.com. That's QUEENSBRO.com.
Queensboro.com. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I did it from, I think it was Quill. Quill.com does it as
Okay.
well. But yeah.
Okay. One of the vendors for business.
Uh-huh. Hmm.
Oh, I
Yep.
didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
they do a lot of stuff. Yeah, and they'll get you. You order one thing like you said before we started, and then they're like, "Oh, do you want a pen? Would you like a notepad? Would you?" And here you go. Yes, yes, yes. Before you
Yes.
know it, it's like
Yeah.
$800.
And that's a good vendor when you've been building your business credit. That's something we're working on as well. So
Yeah, yeah. Quill is. I have it. I have a video on my YouTube channel where, if you don't have an account with nav.com,
mm-hmm.
that's an excellent company. You can find all the information for personal credit, all the information to build business credit. They have the tiers,
Definitely.
level 1, 2, and 3 stacked out.
Mm-hmm.
They tell you the process. They tell you how to start a business from start to finish. I feel like Nav is an excellent starting point for anybody looking to do any business in any industry. So I should probably do another video about that. I haven't done it in a while, but Nav is outstanding, especially if you're
I
just—
use Nav all the time.
yeah,
I love it. And I
yeah,
also got the business boost account.
yep,
Yep. So I use Nav. It's great, especially when you don't know the foundation of your business.
yeah,
You can even call the representative and they'll walk you through it.
yeah. They're super friendly. They're always
Mhm.
offering you money too.
Yeah. all the loans you can want is on there.
Yeah, and then with Nav too, real quick, since we're on the subject, that's where you can start to establish your Paydex score. They track that for you, and
Hmm.
then your Equifax score, and then who's the other company? It's Paydex, Equifax Business. You can get a small business administration score there as well if you pay for like
Hmm.
the premier package, which is I do. I think it's 75 a month, and there's another score. So all your scores are there, your personal scores are there. They tell you everything you need to know. I feel like a lot of the credit people have gotten their blueprint from NAV, which I'm not mad at, but I definitely see some similarities. But yeah, it's pretty effective.
Yeah, it is.
So how long have you been on NAV?
I've been on NAV since November.
Okay.
I've been on that since November, like I said, and I done got a business boost account with them. I'm actually working on building my business credit. I got a Granger account.
Yep.
I got me a Shell Fleet card, and I got me a Home Depot card.
Yep. That's it. And then you got Quill.com too, right? A net 30.
Yeah. No, I don't have Quill. I have Granger, the net 30, but I'm gonna look at Quill.
Yeah, Quill you can do a net 32, and it's pretty easy as well.
Okay.
What does your day-to-day life look like, Tasha? Like, what do you do when you
Oh my God. So like I said, I'm a manager at the hospital.
Yep.
I work, the department I run is sterile processing. So we clean, process, and sterilize the surgical instruments for surgeries.
Okay.
So I'm here about 4:00 in the morning, and that part, right. But the good thing about it is I'm a manager, so I can flex my schedule. So that's how I'm able to, effectively run my business as well. Because if I need to come in on afternoons and do some work orders in the daytime, that's what I'll do. I'll do my work orders in the daytime, and I'll come in on afternoons or whatever time I need to come in.
Okay.
So that works for me. And then I have my own office here. That's actually where I'm at now. I have my own office here at the hospital. So, it works for me because I can flex my schedule, and I'm very flexible as far as my schedule. So I get up, like today, I'm still at work. So I'll leave here maybe about 2:33, and then I'll go to work and do whatever work orders need to be done. And some days I get so many work orders done that the next day I'll do like my loan signing and stuff like that. So it depends from day to day. However, I work at the hospital every day because that's my main job. That's my main job, income or whatever. So
is that Monday through Friday?
Yes, it's Monday through Friday.
Okay. So hospital Monday through Friday, and every day you start some days you start at 4 a.m. and the other days you start whenever you need to. Okay. Depending on if you have to go into the field or not to get work orders done, or meet contractors too, right? So you're able to do all that. You can respond to text messages. You can check your emails if you need.
Definitely.
How much are people calling you? Because typically they only call you a lot if you're like behind or if something is late or if they have a rush order. But are you getting a lot of phone calls, or is it primarily email?
It's primarily email, but it's been a lot of rush orders as far as secures lately. Yeah. Like the last 3 weeks, I've been getting a lot of rush secures.
Yeah.
And so that's the thing now, I guess, because we're lifting whatever's going on with the world. I've been getting a lot of rush secures, like, can you do this now, or at least the next 48 hours or whatever, but mostly it's emails.
Okay. And then about the initial secures, are you finding that those properties are actually vacant now, or are they still occupied?
Most of them is vacant. I did have one. It was crazy. It'd be about 2 weeks ago. We went to secure the property, and it was someone there. And what the funniest thing is, when you go to these properties to do inspections or secures, they act like they've been paying their bills and everything is good, and they don't know what you're talking about.
Like, they have no clue why you're there. They're like, what?
No, they're like, what? So this lady swore up and down. She know I was there. I need some numbers. I'm about to call this person. I said, well, ma'am, I'm just here to do the work. I work for the bank. Just kind of trying to explain something to her. Hold on 1 second. Sorry.
Go sit down, sweetie. I'm on a video. Go. You don't even have on any clothes. You have on boxers.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
I'm sorry about that. But so she talked to me and told me the story, and this is paid off, and I don't understand what's going on. I said, okay. So I gave her this was Guardian, I think, that sent me out. Oh, I'm sorry for saying the name, but she wanted their number. She called them, and she claimed they didn't know what they was talking about, and the house was paid off, and let me send you my statement saying the house is paid off. So she was kind of irate. But the securities in the inspections be really funny.
Yeah. Yeah. Have you ran into squatters a lot?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Squatters. I know this one home we was maintaining, cutting the grass. We did a secure. We did some other things on it. And it's like every time we would go back, the house would be broken into again.
Yep.
And so sometimes you kind of feel unsafe because, obviously the people is watching this house.
Yeah.
Because every time you leave and do something or secure it again, they're breaking back into it.
Yeah.
So it's like squatters are living, especially the ones that's completely vacant. The squatters are definitely living in there.
Yeah, yeah. We run into squatters quite a bit too. A lot of
Mm-hmm.
squatters and a lot of hoarders. But this is you're covering the Dallas, Texas, DFW
Mm-hmm.
area. So Texas, as you know, is always gun friendly, right?
Definitely. Because
And
I
now even
carry.
more so with the new law they just passed.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. But any outright danger situations or just like situations where you were just kind of like had a heightened sense of awareness?
No dangerous situations because everybody has neighbors.
Yeah.
Like the houses and the areas we go to, they all have neighbors. It's just that one or two homes is on that block that's either vacant or people just up and left.
Okay. Tasha, what is your end goal with your company? Like, what do you want to see it do? The moratorium is set to expire June 30th. I don't think it's going to be
Hmm.
extended again. It definitely is not
Right.
looking that way. What's your goal for the rest of 2021 and just moving forward?
My goal, I want to be like the preservation guru. Like my goal is to really expand my business. I want to, like I said, I'm from Detroit, so I want to take it to Detroit. That's
Okay.
why I'm working on getting my general contractor's license. And just like be a big company, but I want to be a company that these banks and stuff can rely on. And actually, I want to get into the private sector. That's what my ultimate goal is by the end of the year is to fully be in the private sector. And because I have a lot of connections and things like that, that's more towards what I'm going to.
Okay. Yeah, I'm going to be adding something to the course soon about how to get business from the private sector. But do you have
Hmm.
a Facebook page established yet?
Yes.
Okay. Because a part of that will be require running ads locally though. Because with Facebook, you can
Mhm.
segment down to the zip code and
Okay.
people to click the link for whatever services that you're offering. So yeah, but you got to have the Facebook
Oh, okay.
business page set up for that first.
Okay.
Yeah, like completely set up. So name, email,
Yes.
all of that, the website, all of that good stuff. So that'll be coming, sometime soon. What was I
Okay.
gonna? I'm still on the video. Thanks. I'm still doing the video. Can you close the door?
Kids just won't let you be great.
Not never. What is pushing you though, Tasha? You have a full-time job. Your husband has a
Hmm.
full-time job. You got at least one child who's 18. So is he going to
Hmm.
college soon or what? Oh no, he's not going to college, right? Because he's gonna be rich without. Okay, got you. So he's not.
Hmm.
I mean, I'm not saying that in jest because it's out there, right? The opportunities that they have
Hmm.
available are definitely like out of this world. The CEO, the founder of TikTok is 20 something and worth $44 billion. So
Hmm.
your son could
Hmm.
very well be onto something. But what is pushing you though? Like, where is this drive coming from?
Generational wealth. My mom had me really, really young, and we didn't have what I'm able to provide my kids with. She did the best she could with what she had, but it's important for me to leave my children something able. Even though I tell my son I'll fire him, it feels good for him to be able to come to me and say, "Hey, mom, can I work the business with you? Can I learn it?" My daughter told me the other day. She said, "Mom, I don't know what you do for a living, but I want to be just like you when I grow up." So things like
Oh,
that. You know what I'm saying?
oh. Your video went out for
Things.
how old is your
Okay.
daughter?
She'll be 13 in August.
She said, I don't know what you do, but I want to be like you.
Mm-hmm. She
Oh,
tells me, mommy. She tells me, "Mommy, you getting all the money." I said, "What?" I said, "What you makes you think that?" I bought a money tree to put in our living room, and I put ice in it or whatever. She said, "Mom, what's that?" I said, "A money tree." She said, "What is that for?" I said, "So we can have more money. We can be blessed." She tells me, "We don't need that. You got all the money." So no, we make it look too easy for these kids.
So that brings me up a quick sidebar I want to ask you. And I experienced this too, so I'm curious to get your feedback. So when you grow up a certain way without having a lot of things, and then you have children, you're able to do way more, right? Do you
Hmm.
find that it's harder for them to appreciate kind of where they're at because they have nothing to compare it to, right? It's just this is
Hmm.
their life. So how do you
Hmm.
manage that? Like, what do you do for that?
My husband is the foundation of that because it's up to me. My kids just have everything, whatever, as long as they're getting good grades, they ain't bad, they can have anything they
Yeah,
want.
yeah,
However, my husband try to provide a solid foundation, say, "Hey, Even though we can provide it, doesn't mean it's a yes every time, So, he's
So
the
he's your
strong
backbone.
person.
I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh
Mm-hmm.
my
Yeah, he's definitely the backbone, because it doesn't mean my daughter and my son will have everything they wanted, But he like, no, that's not how life works, and we can't get them thinking that's how it is. And sometimes the kids is spoiled. They have the technology and resources we didn't have.
God.
They
Yeah.
have the things that we didn't have, and that's why I try to provide for my kids, because I never want my kids to go without. That's just
Yeah.
because I know what it feels like.
Yeah.
So I try to provide them with any and everything they want, but my husband's like, nah.
Yeah.
Mm-mm. So
What's your husband's name?
Xavier.
Xavier. Well, shout out to Xavier because I know that, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
glad you were honest about it because I'm the same way. It's just like, well,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay. If I can afford it, ain't hurting me, then let him have it.
Yeah, but it does create a dynamic over time that is not pretty, right? If you,
Yeah, because they don't know the value of a dollar. Like
yeah,
my kids so spoiled, they don't know that. Hey, you can't break these $300 glasses and want money to just go buy them again, like
yeah,
my daughter does all the time. So they don't know the value of a dollar, and that's the hard. They raised spoiled.
yeah, yeah. Well, let's
Mm-hmm.
not use the word spoil, right? Because spoil kind of, I like the word entitled. We always act like entitlement is a bad
Yeah.
thing, but it's not.
Mm-hmm.
Entitled just means that you expect good things to happen because good things
Right.
happen, right? It's not.
Right.
We always make it in our community like, oh, these kids spoiled and entitled. Well, I mean, do you want them to be like, impoverished and desperate?
Right. Like we don't want to be like that, right?
Yeah. What advice would you have for anybody considering preservation? What would you tell them to do, whether they have a full-time job or whether they don't?
um, I think ultimately with preservation, preparation is the key.
Okay.
You know, Preparation is so important in knowing your business. Like I was stating before, when I first started, it was important to me to be able to speak to my business and know it and understand it, because you can't hire contractors or you can't have someone come help you if you can't speak to your business.
Yeah.
A lot of people look at it and say, oh, I'm gonna just hire contractors, I'm gonna just do this. But if a contractor or someone calls you and you can't speak to it, you're not setting yourself up for success. So know your business, really be consistent with these companies, because the companies, like you said, they don't like calling you and emailing you asking when these work orders going to be done. They need them done, and they need them done by the date. And if you can't, things happen. You just got to communicate.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then ask for more money. Let's add that to the list. So ask, your
Oh,
worth.
definitely know your worth. Of course, because you'll be running around in circles if you don't know your worth.
Yeah.
Because these companies are going to pay you whatever they're going to try to do with it, whatever, but they want to make money off of it too.
Right.
So
And then
definitely know
how
your
helpful
worth.
has it been to be, because I know you're in the alumni group. I know
Hmm.
you obviously have been through the program. How helpful has it been to like be able to talk to other people who are doing the same things or kind of encountering the same issues? Because a lot of people don't know what it is still. So they'll be like, Tasha, what you doing now?
Hmm.
So how have you been able to establish any connections or resources in that regard?
Definitely. When we're in a group, we always talking about experiences we had, what resources we use. So the group is very resourceful, and we just kind of spin ideas off each other and just kind of talk to each other about the companies, what our experiences was, where we getting things from. So it's good to be able to talk to people that knows your lingo.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay. So for now, you're in covering again. For guys if you're just tuning in, you missed an outstanding conversation. So go back and make sure you rewind. We're going to keep these videos up. But I'm Danielle Pierce. I'm talking to Tasha Wesley. We're talking about her experience in property preservation. Tasha is she's a wife. She's a mother. She is a serial entrepreneur at this point. She has a full-time 9 to 5 that she's been working for 17 years. She works with her husband and her 18-year-old son, and maybe her soon to be her 13-year-old daughter at some point, right? If she decides she wants to
Hmm.
work.
Yes.
But definitely has had a lot of success in a relatively short amount of time. And man, Tasha, I don't know what else to say. I feel like you said all the things that I that I would, I think that
Hmm.
I'll put it this way: people who have the mentality and the attitude that you have always do well, whether it's preservation or anything else. Like
Hmm.
it's never an
I
issue.
appreciate it. And
Yeah.
I think your business is what you make of it and what you put into it. Like, I have talked to people that's just like, oh, I want to make money. This not for you then.
Yeah.
This not for you. You're not just gonna make money at the drop of a dime. You have to work, and you have to work hard. And
Yeah.
you get out of anything what you put into it. If
Yeah.
you don't, like if you go do your grass, if you don't water it, it's not gonna grow.
Yep.
You have to water your business. It's also one more thing too. It's also a 2021 property preservation conference in Washington, D.C. I will be attending. So
You are gonna
I
go.
think yes, I am going to go. Me and my husband's flying out there. So I think it's important for people to invest in themselves and put into their business, because this is a business you have to water. You have
Yeah.
to put your all into it, or you're going to be limited at what you can do.
Yeah. So I have a note in my phone to register before the early bird pricing increases. So I'm
Hmm.
definitely gonna fly out there. I think it's DC and it's in November. So
November,
um,
I think 7th through 9th.
yeah. But is this
Mm-hmm.
either way? I know I have a reminder in my phone to book a flight and to register for that because the tickets aren't super expensive. And
Mm-mm.
what I found is I've been to not a national one before, but I've been to the one that Altasaurus used to host. Back when we were, I feel like back when we were free, but they used to host one every single year for only Altasaurus vendors, and it's always helpful to put a face with the name and to actually meet the people assigning you work because all they do is give you more work. That's all that results when you go.
That's what I'm looking for. Some
Yeah,
networking and things like that.
yeah.
And let me say one more thing. With people starting a new company, I hear in the alumni group that, oh, well, this company is not paying, this company's not doing this. What I've learned, when I go to homes to do these work orders, I walk through the property. So when you walk through the property, you creating your own price list. You're telling them what's wrong, what needs to be done. You checking for allowables and things like that. So it's many ways to create fortune in this company and to get your money from these companies. You just got to know how to work around it.
Yeah. And well, you got to have the desire to do that, right? And the
Oh,
motivation,
definitely.
right? A lot of people
Definitely.
just want to go and just do, like, if you do the bare minimum, you kind of get the bare minimum results. So,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, thank you so much, Tasha. I know you probably got to get back to
Oh,
work.
no
I appreciate
problem. No
your
problem.
time. And again, this is Tasha Wesley. What's the name of the company again? Wesley's Property Preservation, right?
Yes.
Yes, Wesley's Property Preservation out of Dallas, Texas. Soon to be having a branch in Detroit, right? If all goes as
That's
planned.
right.
Yeah. So
Definitely.
thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. Please enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll be talking to you soon. If not, I'm sure I'll
I
see you in
will.
DC. So, all
You sure will. Thank
right.
you. Bye bye.
Bye. Bye.